Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy GZTV, and this is something I didn't really plan on doing this week, but there was literally no content to be seen, to be found, nothing really on the internet that I could delve into. And, well, there is one thing, I guess, Uzi dropping his brand new album, The Pink Tape, this Friday, the 30th of June here. And I decided, I'm going to go back and find his most recent album, of course, Eternal Atake, and give it a listen. And now we're not going to cover the deluxe to this because this video would be probably 20 minutes long if we did that. So I'm going to go track by track, just kind of like give you guys my thoughts. Like this is kind of looking back on this album. It's like a retro review, something that I've never done on the channel before. So let's get into it. Yeah, let's go. So the first track, Baby Pluto. I'm going to do every track like in this clip. I don't really want to cut it up or anything. It's a very aggressive and braggadocious track to open the record, introducing an alter ego by the name of Baby Pluto, so it is fitting to kind of have that. And there's three segments to the album. There's the Baby Pluto section, the Renji? The Renji section, and then there's like the little Uzi Vert songs, on there. Like just Uzi. Eminem has like Marshall Mathers, and then he has Slim Shady, and then he has Eminem. Like it's kind of like that. Obviously not done as well, but and not dedicating an album to like Renji. But yeah, Lo Mein is the next track. Very gun heavy, a lot of gun references. The chopstick came with a large Lo Mein. It's all over the place with his raps, rapping about all sorts of things. Very scatterbrained here. Not really a focus, but that's not always a bad thing. On Silly Watch, great flows on Silly Watch. Probably some of the best flows out of the Baby Pluto section of the album. Very dark beat he's rapping on, the cutthroat flows, obviously talking about watches on here. He's got tracks kind of dedicated to different, lusts of the hip-hop world, violence and love and watches, materialistic things and stuff. And if you guys didn't know, actually, I feel like people kind of like this kind of flew over them. Him and Jack Harlow actually had beef at the time of him making this. He made like a confetti reference on this record in particular. I thought that was kind of interesting because they were both at one point signed to DJ Drama's label, Generation Now or whatever. On Pop, this isn't the best track here, but at least we got that filthy production. Working on Dying, Uzi worked with those guys a lot earlier on, 3 years ago. Working on Dying as a collective, having like Brandon Vanesson and Uji Mane. Filthy, of course, who we all know and love, is probably one of the best members in my opinion. They started off kind of working with guys like Maddox, but Uzi picked them up and a lot of good production. They produced some of the best beats on this album. You Better Move, another kind of weaker track. I go back and re-listen to it. I kind of appreciate it a little more. The lyrics are okay. The sample is badass, coming from like this old video game. I thought it was a really cool touch on the album. Homecoming, the last track, it ends the aggressive segment of the album, the Baby Pluto, the flexing, all that stuff. Great bass on this one. It's not one of my favorites on the record, but it's definitely iconic and still kind of holds up to this day. Again, this album came out over 3 years ago, so it's really interesting to go back, and we'll give some background, some general notes at the end of the video. I know that's probably not how I should order it, but yeah. I'm sorry. Obviously the Renji section of the album is extremely goated. It's kind of an apology letter to Britney, and some things you guys don't know is Britney Bird was actually like originally an Uzi fan he saw in the crowd, and that's how they got together, kind of referencing that in the song. He's used way too many stand on my money lines, and you kind of notice that throughout his discography, but especially in this era of Uzi. Celebration Station is possibly my favorite song on here. The Ariana Grande sample, which people don't even realize, but it's just so good. Super energetic, uplifting, makes you feel good. When you have a bad day, put this track on and I promise you're going to feel better. I mean, this song is really dope. And yeah, there were so many moments that came with this album. Like, I remember Oprah Siverson listening to this album. Like, what a lit time that was, dude. Bigger Than Life, I mean, Uzi was in his bag on this track run. Some of the production, some of the choir, like in this Renji section. Again, talking about his drug trips, enjoying life on this song. Bigger Than Life is great. The guitar, it's just amazing. Chrome Heart Tags, was like, I mean, at the time, Chief Keef and Uzi hadn't worked together, but up to this point, they know each other pretty well. I mean, Chief Keef produced this track, and he was on Bean off of the Deluxe. Lots of fashion references. R.I.P. Virgil. I mean, this is like his fashion song, naming a bunch of designer brands. Uzi and Rocky really started this fashion shit. Like, you see guys like Ken Carson, you see guys like Destroy Lonely rocking all this designer. It's because of, ASAP Rocky and Uzi. I really think so. Yeah, I don't know how Chief Keef produced this beat, but wow, it's a great, great song. Bust Me. Lots of relationship stuff involved here, kind of getting into that lovey-dovey mode. I didn't really remember bumping this song that much, but I went back to it. It wasn't too bad. It's, a lot of fake energy out there talking about people that came around when he became famous. This song is great, by the way. I really like this song. The production is ridiculous for like that entire, 6-track run of Renji, like I said. Some weird demonic shit going on at the end, but I will let it slide. Prices. Another song on the Renji section that is top 3 on this album. This song is just top of the line. Great song. There's a Travis sample on here, which I really appreciated. And actually, at the time, I didn't really listen to Travis Scott that much in 2020. I listened to Astroworld, obviously, the year before, and I listened to, like, singles like Anecdote. But after I listened to this, it put me on to Way Back, actually. Like, I hadn't listened to Way Back before this, and then I was seeing people all over Twitter, whatever platform was going on at the time, I'm not really sure, posting, like, he sampled Travis. Like, I think that's, like, I don't know, it's really dope. Urgency is next, it kind of starts his Uzi era. It's a cool track, but there's definitely better ones on the album. I'm sorry about the background noise. There's definitely better tracks on here. Sid was kind of a dope feature to have at the time. Maybe she's not as popular anymore, but her, what was the group called? The Internet. Like, her work with that group at the time was great. So having her here was awesome. Venetia. I mean, this beat is just out of this world. Like, I don't know who produced this. It was incredible. I mean, this is probably the best song on the Little Uzi Vert section of the album, like the last, 6 tracks. And we're not going to talk about That Way and Footstool Shuffle because those were just so acclaimed and so talked about going into this album that I don't really care to talk about it anymore. I'm not saying, like, popular songs are bad, but these songs just kind of wear it off, you know what I mean? Secure the Bag. You listen to the beat, and it gives you, like, these Lil Wayne vibes. And throughout the project, Uzi's kind of discussing how Lil Wayne was a big influence of his, and obviously so. It kind of has, like, more of a trappier twist compared to Lil Wayne. But, yeah, it's a very underrated song, Secure the Bag, possibly the most underrated song on this record. P2 is the final, like, non-bonus track, non-single. It was a pointless song. Obviously, the original Exo Tour Life was good. This one is going to be too, so I just don't understand the point of him putting this on the project. This should have honestly just counted as a bonus track as well and just move on. But, just some general notes about the album. I'll see you guys there. Getting into the overview of the album, we already kind of went track by track. There was a lot of pushback, like, on the rollout of this album. This rollout took 2-3 years. And, I mean, yeah, it's relatable. It's comparable to, like, the Playboi Carti Whole Lotta Red album, which, funny enough, came out the same year. And funny enough, these two are, like, obviously great friends. It finally released and at just the right time, kind of during the start of the COVID outbreak. People were going to school. Schools were getting canceled one by one across the country. And then out of nowhere, Uzi drops this album. And it's like, I don't know. I remember going into study hall. There are so many memories associated with this album. I just had to talk about it. I have to give you guys a retro review. And this is possibly something throughout the summer that could return to the channel. Or not return, but could be a big part. I'm calling this a retro review. Because my channel started in 2020 later in the year. The first big album I talked about was Whole Lotta Red. So I think it would be really cool to, cover more older albums. Very cinematic, great transitions on this album with this whole thing. He's, like, trapped in this personality, maybe. The supposed beef with Carti created good promo. Obviously, it was rejected. It was denied years later, or a year or so later. It feels like you're in space, like you're listening to this whole album. I know that's kind of like a cliche thing to say about this type of trap music, but it does. I mean, his hooks are raps. I like how he went about that, you know. He's rapping for the hooks. I really appreciate that. I can't stress this enough. This is like one of the best parts of this album is you see all these trap rappers, you see all these like trappy rappers, I guess. I don't know. You see all these mainstream guys just like repeating the same phrase for a hook, but no, Uzi's like spitting. He finds a pretty much a fourth verse because most of the tracks have 3 verses for the hook, and I really liked that. Futsal in that way, yeah, again, they're overplayed, annoying. Decided not to really cover them. I do appreciate the Backstreet interpolation on that way, and that is one thing that kind of held up from those bonus tracks. And obviously, like the Tyler the Creator thing on Futsal Shuffle was kind of cool. For like the Nardwuar interview, you know, he's a pretty cultured guy. Well, no, it wasn't from Nardwuar, but I think he had a Nardwuar reference on here somewhere. I don't even know. I do, or Uzi's an absolute icon. Y'all don't realize just how much I listened to him when he was first gaining traction. Like, when he was first getting famous, my God, I was such a big Uzi fan. I mean, EXO Tour Life, obviously Love is Rage 2 is probably one of my favorite albums of the 2010s. At least top 20. That's saying something, because there were so many good albums that came out that year. Like, if you guys want my opinion on Uzi, I know this is like one of the first Uzi-related videos I've done on the channel, but I'm a huge Uzi fan. Like, I've always liked his music, you know, and the promotional stuff for this new album is great. I would make a video on that, but I have other content to make, so yeah. I would talk about the deluxe. Yeah, again, I told you the video. I said that. I'm reading my notes here. This album has got bars that a lot of people won't understand, like the whole Birdman thing, like with the, what is it called? What is that brand called he was talking about? Locks, something like that? Like the whole Birdman thing, how you got to deal. Like, Uzi's really cultured compared to a lot of these other rappers. I'm not even going to lie to you. But, yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the record. You know, this is just kind of a look back, just kind of like a time capsule returning to me. Uzi announcing his new album, and I just had to get into it. I just had to talk about this damn near once in a lifetime event. Not really, but, like, the hype behind this project was so real. I couldn't just push this to the side. And plus, you know, I need a video for you guys today. So here you go. I'm out, guys. Have a good rest of your day.